And we made it.
All right.
Hello, Miss Elizabeth Riley.
Hi, how are you guys? Jeff, so good to see you. Renee, so good to see you. I'm excited for our conversation today.
This is kind of historic for me too, because you've actually had me back. I've done this before. Nobody really has me back. So this is great for me.
Well, appreciate and you're our first one that we've had back twice. So
this is unbelievable. It's great. I can't wait. I'm excited.
We are so excited to have you on with us, and we are huge fans. For those that don't know, Jeff Whiteside is here with us. He is the CFO of eXp World Holdings and also the Chief Collaborative Officer, which I love that. Renee, I know, loves that because we are all about collaboration. But tell us, what does that mean? What does that position stand for?
Well, I never even used the word, I don't think, before I joined Glenn. And so on the job description, it was a CFO and the Chief Collaboration Officer. And I'm like, whatever. I know what the CFO is. I think I'll do pretty good at that. And so what I go to find out, though, is that a major part of why EXPI is successful is because we do collaborate. And we're connected. I mean, people that are successful here are connected. They can work with others. And they can collaborate across the whole organization. I mean, and you see the agents from a sharing standpoint. You see the best agents we have, like yourself, doing stuff like this to share across the whole agent team. And from a staff standpoint, I mean, I spent my day talking to people all day long and working with people to try to help them. That's kind of you really have to have that collaboration skill to be successful here. And it does mean a lot. It really does.
Well, and it's really celebrating each other and celebrating each other's successes. I mean, I've never been a part of an organization that lifts each other up like the way we do.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
Well, I love that you're putting focus on the collaboration because, quite frankly, it has been the number one differentiator. If I look at the Renee Funk before EXP and the Renee Funk in the EXP family, the amount of growth that has been experienced, which we then cascade that out because it's all open book. We share, we grow together. It's changed our business. It's changed the way we serve the consumer. It's changed the way we serve our agents. It's changed everything in such a positive way. So it's important to put continued focus on that.
Absolutely. Yep. And I think that it's something that really, it's a competitive differentiation for us as a company. And it starts with Glenn and goes to the agent leadership and the team that we have to support the company. And it's a big part of what we do. And people that don't do that, for the most part, I can tell you from a staff standpoint, will not be here for very long because it just doesn't work.
Yeah, it's the foundation of who we are.
Yeah, it is.
So speaking, Jeff, about, yes, you are the first guest to come back a second time. Thank you for doing that.
And brave soul that you are.
Right.
Well, like I said, this is the first time anybody's had me back 2 times.
Well, it's easy to have you come back, Jeff, when there's so much excitement going on with the growth of our company. And I mean, quite frankly, I was thinking about this before we came on. I mean, when we had you on, we were all at the very beginning of a pandemic. We were all, not just in our company, but as the world around us, right? We were all trying to figure out what next, what's going to happen, how are we going to succeed, what is 3, 5, 6 months down the road going to look like, right? Yep. And now all of a sudden we're beyond that point, and we're looking back, and hindsight's 2020. But whoa.
Yeah.
Look at what we've done as a company and how we've changed the industry. So talk about that. A lot has happened. And share.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was that, obviously we wake up one day and we had a great 2019. We had actually a great first quarter of the year. And then we wake up in like early March and it's like, we might not be doing any more transactions for a while. And we thought about that. We thought about pulling back on this and pulling back on that, and don't do international, don't do this, don't do that. And within about 4 days, I think, Gene, Scott, yourselves, and everybody was like, hang on a second, we're built for this, right? And that's actually the term everybody used. And so we started thinking internally too, and then we had people like Michael Valdez, for instance. So I got to know Michael probably in January of the year or thereabouts. and just through networking. And he's talking about this is the time. And
right.
Your typical company would sit back and say, well, hang on a second. It's all closed down. Nobody's doing anything. It's closed down. And within 5 days, we just basically went on the offense and realized, thankfully, Glenn had this vision about the virtual platform, right, 10 years ago, which was ahead of his time. But, we've all been a huge fan of how we work. So it enables us to do what we're doing right now. Well, I mean, we're having more of a Zoom call right now, but we run the entire global brokerage on this platform of Virbela, right? So looking at this, and then I think another big thing I saw too was that, so it's attitude, it's confidence, right? It's leadership. And the other big thing I saw too was that some of the bigger producers in the real estate world, the brokerages are closed now. The doors are shut down. You can't get into the office. Some of our big people were really going crazy, right? Because we're built for this and we can do this. We're open 24/7. And I think we've also attracted quite a few different larger producers, knowing that, they control their businesses. We support them, but we're always going to be there for them. Whether it's education, it's the training, it's the brokerage support, it's payment processing. We're open and we are built for this. And I'd say from a business standpoint, I came from a more traditional, I think we all did, right? Traditional background. The productivity in terms of how we grow, and international is a great example right now, is so we're going to open up in 5-ish countries between now and the end of the year. And Michael came from a place where they had 300,000 agents in 121 countries, and he was on the road all the time. So right now we're going to open up these countries, and we have our people in place. So we got the brokerages the brokers in place in South Africa and France and places like that. We haven't been there, right? So we're more than likely, because of what's going on, not even step on the ground and start going hard. So so I think from a productivity standpoint, from a support standpoint, we're trying to support our agents as much as we possibly can with the technology we have, and it's working out pretty well. And kind of what happened was we did have that pause, and it reflected in our second quarter numbers. And we had a 33% growth rate for in the second quarter, when, as a lot of people didn't. Our agent growth on the revenue side, and the agent growth rate was actually about 55%, which is pretty consistent. And so coming out of this now, we gained a lot of power in the last month of the quarter. And as the business right now is doing very well. So just as Renee, you were saying, Orlando's on fire. I think, most of the places we are in business right now is very, very healthy, and things are going very well right now.
Jeff, you touched on this, but I say we have to say this, and we have to pause and acknowledge how amazing this is. When some other companies may be reporting or may have reported a down Q2, how does a company go from a moment of uncertainty because of a pandemic and saying, I wonder what's next? Now, all of a sudden, congratulations is in order. As our chief financial officer, you're leading the ship, and EXP recorded the record-breaking Q2 earnings.
Right.
Talk to us about that. That's huge.
I'm not leading the ship. I'm on the boat with you guys. So we're one team, and I mean the productivity from our agents basically drove the quarter, right? So as the model is based on bringing on productive agents and driving revenue and the splits and all that stuff, and the agents just did a fantastic job. And I think, going back again, it's a confidence. Right, it's confidence, and it's the support, and it's the attitude, and it's also the willingness to try things new. Right, from our perspective, and the agents, we're going to do the right thing, and support them as much as we can. And I think we showed that in a big way in Q2 with Dave and the team. Start new education. How do we work in this kind of environment? So all the tools we could put together as fast as we could, we did. But I think the entire business. And we could talk about Virbela at some point in time, but I mean, from my perspective, the platform that we're on, Virbela, it was phenomenal before, because like I said, we run our entire global brokerage on this platform, and I could see literally hundreds of companies like us be able to do that, the virus kind of gave us a shot. So we built the whole team on the commercial side, and people are kind of at the door looking at this. So it's been a great time for all of us. So it's been very positive for that team. It's been positive for our team. And as we're going into the third quarter right now, I mean, we're getting back to the rhythm that we had before, the volumes that we had before, and the company is really doing well.
Well, you mentioned that we took a pause, right? Everybody, I think, paused for a moment going, oh my gosh, what's next? But then I think what happened was all of a sudden we realized, wait a minute, this is how we've been operating forever. We know how to succeed and thrive and serve others at a very high level and very well. And I mean, we're all a bunch of entrepreneurs too. You put a whole bunch of entrepreneurs in the room and you're led by a very, very high level visionary who's an entrepreneur who comes from an agent standpoint, who understands what the agents need. I mean, you've got a recipe for success. And one of the things I thought was spot on that we did was, why keep all that in and why only share that amongst ourselves? I mean, we opened up the doors to anybody in the industry, in the country, in the company, outside our company, and said, hey, we know you guys are struggling, or if you just need a boost or you need something else, let us help. Let's all collaborate together. And it wasn't a recruiting tactic. It wasn't anything more than authentic collaboration and how can we help and how can we unite? And for me, that was powerful, right? We talk about reaching out to our communities and talk about reaching out to our clients and checking in on people. That was what we all did as an industry. We checked in on our industry. And I think that to me, I was just very proud of our company and proud to be a part of something that was like, here, let us help you and not ask for anything in return.
Right. I'd say the same thing. I mean, I was very proud to be part of this too, with the teams that were on, whether they were on the weekends, on Saturdays, with the shows, talking about we're built for this, the actions inside, the actions by our staff, the actions by, we're in it. And the attitude and confidence is just really, it's a great place to be. It really is. And we're going to continue that.
Even on the more micro basis, if I look at what we were doing in Orlando when we woke up in that mid-March day, we too didn't have to think about how do we operate our business, right? Yep. It was a well-oiled machine because of what the resources that are available to us as an eXp Realty agent and team leader. Same thing with the company as a whole, is the internal operation of how we connect, how we train, how we operate our business was well-oiled. What eXp Realty, as well as I'm sure you realize, even on the micro basis at little old me in Orlando, we did the same thing. Well, we don't think about that. We get to focus on how we help the consumer and how we serve the consumer in new ways to get through whatever this environment looks like. That's called a huge running head start during a time of adversity.
Yep. And I thought it was interesting is that the Microsofts and the Apples and the Googles were kind of struggling on how to operate their teams from home.
Yeah.
Like, really? But it just goes to show you how well we are set up for this environment, and and I think it's been a great testament to just the tools and the preparation that we've had in the platform and the training and the support that we put in place. And we just got to get better. So we're not standing on that. I mean, we've got to get better and better and better. And I think that it's going to be a trend, right? And we're going to get better all the time. It will be a trend.
So I've had a lot of people reach out and ask me, okay, what is the secret to the success? Why do you guys think you had such an amazing quarter? And I kept going back to Verbella and the platform and what we were able to accomplish from that. But, now that I'm thinking about it and having this dialogue with you, it seems like it was just more of a perfect storm. There's a number of things that contributed to our success. Would you agree with that? Or would you think there's one thing a little bit more than the other that really helped us skyrocket like we did during this time?
No, I think it's just how the company's operated. So, I mean, that's like, to Renee's point, that's kind of what we do. Right. So prior to that, that's kind of how we worked, and we were used to working that way. And I think we all kind of rallied around it at the same time. This is us. This is what we do. Let's just keep going and let's go harder. right? So, from a business development standpoint, from a recruiting standpoint, from new businesses, for international expansion, we looked at each other like, this is what we do. We're built for this. Let's do it. And I think we just kept going. So it's a combination of everything. But at the end of the day, I mean, on the realty side, I mean, without the agents, just crushing it out in the different cities around the country, I mean, that's the main thing. The agents' productivity and their presence in our cities, and they just kept going.
You touched on, Jeff, a minute ago about Dave Kennard and the training and how that training, there was a lot of agility. And I will say that there was such an amazing pivot. Now, before the pandemic, as a team leader, I'll say the training has always been amazing because it's entry-level training all the way up to training for seasoned agents. But why I look at that as a defining moment, and I think back to what Dave Kennard put into place quickly, was that the training we had was already great, but the company as a whole identified that there could be a different environment, that agents might have to learn how to transact in different ways, maybe the market shift, how do we lead gen, how do we customer acquisition, everything that might be needed in a different way. I've never seen a training program. I mean, it tripled in size in what seemingly felt like a matter of a week or two. Everybody came on board and said, let's make this happen. And so the agents, whether you were a team leader or an individual agent, we were all supported to know what next.
Yeah. And I think Dave and Curtis and that team really reacted fast. And I think that, Glenn talks about it quite often, is that he since we're one brokerage, right? We're one team, right? We can make decisions like that fast.
Yeah.
And we can change things that fast, and especially with the platform we have, it's that fast. We were just talking about it earlier today. I mean, thinking about some changes we might make in our model, right? And we talk about it all the time, so it's not just today, but the training is a good example. Is that when we want to do something, we can do it pretty fast. And he uses a term that I've come to like a lot too, is iterate. All right, so something just changed. There's a virus. What should we do today that might make it better for the agents, right? And training was one of the things. So we iterate, it gets better and better and better. And that's kind of how we grow our business too, is through iteration.
Well, not only the training that came together, but you're right, Curtis Dixon and Dave knocked that one out of the park. For sure. But even look at our shareholders event and how fast, out of no time at all, we turn a big event that we have in real life on an annual basis virtually. And the marketing team and all of the leadership and everybody came together. And I mean, what were the numbers? Like 9,500 agents were a part of that event.
Well, I like to say 100. I like to say 100,000, but Glenn keeps telling me that's not.
He keeps you honest. All right, I get it. I mean, how cool. Yeah.
It's very cool. And actually, the recent thing that we've done, and the company's been growing so fast, right, for the last 2-3 years, right, that to talk about where we are and where we're going and stuff like that, it's hard to do. So what we did though is, so from an awareness standpoint and understanding to the investors in the marketplace, we actually was probably about 3 months ago. We had our first one, which was we had an investors day in Virbela. And that's actually we started talking about really what we're doing in a deeper sense from a margin standpoint, a growth standpoint, where we see the business going. I think they actually realized too at that point, man, not only do they have a good model, but actually they have a good operating model with the way they run the business, right? And I think that's kind of the start, the awareness of what we're actually doing. And the beautiful thing here, both on the eXp Realty side and the Virbela side, is we're not trying to come up with a story, right? I can show you a chart that just like everybody, our company is going to go up like this, right? Well, our company already has, right? And from a Virbela standpoint, I have enough software background to be dangerous. And most software companies you deal with, the product's not even close to what the company's selling, and it doesn't have. We're the opposite. This company, the product was solid, being used by a global company already. Now, really, we're really going to market for the first time at the beginning of this year to new customers, right? And it's the same thing with the realty business. I mean, you guys have done phenomenal for a number of times. So we're not saying, well, we could do this. Well, we're showing them this. This is what we've already done, and this, it's trending the same way. And the road, the growth road is pretty incredible for our company, I think.
So let's talk about that a little bit, Virbela, right? So we already had a unique advantage as a company with that platform, right? Sure. Before the pandemic. So now enter the pandemic. How do you think the platform has changed the industry? Do you think it will change the industry and other industries? Because my husband's at a tech company, and it was kind of crazy one day where he's virtual right now too. And I walked in and they were using our platform. And he's like, check this out. So, I mean, it was really, he's like, okay. He goes, I've always heard you talk about it and you've always showed me. He was like, but this is really cool. So how do you think it's going to change the real estate industry and then even beyond that?
Yeah. So, I mean, the first thing I tell you is that talking about the platform, you're not going to, I stopped talking about it. I told him about it, but then you got to get him in. Like, so for instance, I got a real strong rule that if we're even thinking about having somebody join our company, they got to meet in Virbela, because that's how we work, right? It's just, you have to be good at doing that type of thing. Courtney would be a great example. I mean, I was actually, after we went through the whole process to bring Courtney on as our new chief marketing officer, it was a Friday and I was upstairs and I'm like, I've never even met her before. We've never seen each other physically. And for that position, that was the first time in my life, but it worked out really well. And she's doing a fantastic job. She's getting around, but through the whole process though, she was getting around. Right. Well, meet us in the convention center and she's there. Right. Things like that. And so that's how we work. And I think that that's just, it's a competitive product. I think from an industry standpoint, I mean, it's our competitive advantage. And I think, we want to share with it all the realtors and all the agents that want to join us. From another industry perspective, Glenn, we all believe that there's other industries that we could have. We have EXP Realty. Why wouldn't we have EXP Insurance? Right? Why wouldn't we have EXP, business brokerage? Why wouldn't we have EXP? So whatever it happens to be, we believe it's a platform that can be used in several different industries, and we're working on that right now. We're not, we're not heavily focused on it this second, but there are plans, and we are trying to look at different uses of the platform. But the customers, next time you have Glenn or Alex on, the new customers that we're getting on this platform are just really the top of the top, the best education schools in the world. Right, we're getting some really huge international consultants that are coming on here and bringing their teams on there. We were having large manufacturing companies come on the platform right now. And then the other thing that happened, and I worked with Alex quite a bit since I got here. We didn't, one thing that came up this year because of the virus was events. Mm-hmm. Like, think about us, right? All of a sudden, we're supposed to get 3,000-4,000 people in Orlando. We can't go. What do you do? Well, we are able to do it like this, and we can provide that same service for others. So the event business has become a pretty big opportunity for us also.
I had a moment like Elizabeth did. Elizabeth, it was you with your husband in Virbela, but I was recently at an eXp Realty leadership meeting in eXp World, of course, and then learned that the NBA partnered with Virbela, which, kind of a big deal. I said, well, this is news. Jeff and I sponsor an Orlando Magic, an NBA team. I said, that's fantastic. I love it. It's growing in every way, which just goes to show you what we've already been using to continue to create connectivity, created for connection through Virbela and eXp World. It transcends with so many other companies, which is. And
I get to think about the productivity really is unbelievable. It really is. Yeah. I mean, and again, the international is probably the best example right now, because we're in international ops expansion meetings every day with people from all over the world. And I think that Michael told me this morning, I think he had a meeting in Virbela for people that are interested in Mexico expansion. And I think he said 500 people showed up.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because he and I, we had conversations earlier in this week, and I'm excited to have him on board. I mean, he is. I mean, Renee, I don't know how much you know about his background. I know we've had him on with us, but he really was brand new when he came on with us, and he really didn't brag about himself all that much. And when you really get to know him, you're just like, holy cow. I mean, he was with Deutsche Bank for 10 years. He was with Realty for 15 years and oversaw, going into almost 130 countries, 300,000 agents. And he is, hate to use the word giddy, but giddy excited about what we're doing here at this company and how quickly we're expanding. And he has big goals. I mean, we talked about this earlier this week, and I was like, whoa. But he said, there's no other platform or other company that could do what we're about to do. He said, we're going into 5 more countries by the end of this year. And then he was talking about some of the projections for next year. So what are your thoughts as a CFO? I mean, that's got to be exciting to see. And I know what projections he was saying for this time next year and what his plans are for global. I mean, those are huge goals.
Yeah. Well, I have international experience. So I was able to help Jason and the team out to get into Australia and UK last year. So I've always thought, even before I joined the company, that this platform has the opportunity to go global in a big way, right? So, and Michael, not only does he have the experience, and he's actually done it before. So from a leadership standpoint, those are the kind of people we're bringing into the company now too. People that really want to be here, first of all, and you can tell that he really wants to be here. And we're thrilled to have him on our team, but also he's also one of those people too that will find a way. Okay, so for instance, every country has different languages, currencies, We're not really set up for that so much, or we weren't, but we'll find a way, right? So we'll work through these issues. So that's important too. And I think his his leadership and just the connections and just being part of our team is it's going to really move the needle for us, and he's doing a great job.
Ease of growth is what keeps standing out to me, whether it's in this conversation or just the trend year after year. Jeff and I are about to have our 3-year anniversary, and ease of growth has to be one of the things that just makes me so proud, because to have that, I mean, it's shortened learning curves. It's ease of growth to international markets. You guys aren't traveling all over right now to make these international markets launch off the ground. Like you said, you're just visiting in EXP world to make it happen. That talk about agility.
Yeah, and we did at the same time. You saw the IDX acquisition, so that was done pretty much virtually. We are, as you know, we're working on a commercial a business, and that's all done commercially. And so and then we have a bunch of affiliated services programs we're putting in place right now. So it just allows us to do it, but it's also I think the world's kind of changed, because people just to do that stuff. Like, I mean, I remember before this happened, I remember being in big office buildings in San Francisco looking around. Nobody's in their office, right? And then you have a bunch of people with suitcases eating lunch, staring at a screen, right? So I just think I think the world's changing. It's because of the internet at the end of the day. I mean, you couldn't do any of this before, right? So for us to talk like this, I would have to go to see you or whatever, and that's just what it was. So technology's changed everything. I mean, you can see it in education, in the downside right now for you two, right? For the most part, not that it's negative, but you can have class from home, where before, think about that. It's crazy. So I think technology is going to change. It's going to change how real estate is sold. Not so much sold, but in terms of how we communicate and how we work together from a broker standpoint.
Jeff, if we could ask you, agents who are maybe looking at eXp Realty on the outskirts, considering, is this a good fit for me? Considering making a move, whether you're a broker owner, an individual agent, team leader, what do you think today, as we find ourselves almost in September of 2020, why should someone consider making the move to eXp Realty?
Okay, so I would start at the top. And I would say, and I've been, over the last almost 2 years here, I've seen the leadership in the industry a couple times. I think by far we have the best leader in Glenn, as the best visionary, the best CEO, and the best. I really believe that he has the agents out front in pretty much the way he thinks about it. I think the model that he created, and the team created, is one of the best, if not the best, especially from a stock ownership standpoint, or real stock. So now that you see the share, I mean, from my perspective, for what it's worth, I think we should be a comparable to Redfin, right, in the industry. So from my perspective, we've been undervalued since I saw the company. And if you look at the growth and what we can do, that's just how I feel. And you can see it starting to catch up. So it's become the equity's becoming real money, right? It's traded on NASDAQ, which is a real company. It's a real traded stock, right? I'd say that as you look at companies, right, you got to look at, what's behind the company, what's behind the income statement, what's behind the balance sheet, what's behind the people, how long are they going to be around, right? So a big thing for us is that we have zero debt on the balance sheet, and we run our company off cash flow, right? So it's just like you being at home, right? So what's in the bank, you pay your bills, you get more money, you pay your bills. You can't go and borrow everything. You can't be leveraged. Eventually, especially if you run out of money, you're in trouble. And so the leverage, the cash flow, the lack of debt on the balance sheet, and I'd also say too is that, Glenn's started from the beginning wanting to make this the best. Like, why would you go anywhere else? All right, and things change, and the world goes on, and you competitors and things like that. And I'm sure that as time goes on, we will adapt to make sure it's the best place to be. So I'd be looking at those things. I'd be looking at, the leadership. I mean, the collaboration we talked about, the opportunity to, drive your business virtually like that, right? And have people like you, both of you, helping them grow, building the team, and then of course there's a revenue share opportunity. So it can be very substantial if that's what you're interested in. So
just to name a few.
Just to name a few, and we'll keep getting better. So, IDX, for instance, is going to give us a portal capability. We didn't have any of those that before, right? So all our that kind of technology was outsourced, and so I'd say in a year and a half from now, we're going to have a lot of new technology that will help our agents, and we'll continue to do that, and we'll continue to buy and partner with companies that'll help our agents sell more and do well.
That's part of the fun and the draw of this company, right? It's being ahead of the curve, doing something that nobody's ever done before and trying to figure it out, but bringing brilliant minds together. And it's been, you talked about being on NASDAQ. Watching the stock has been a lot of fun, and watching reactions from investors and other people that weren't really paying attention before, to see them paying attention now is fun. And it's like, we've known this all along. So it's fun to see it all coming to fruition. Yeah. And I'm just excited about getting up every day and being a part of this company, because we have no idea what's in store for the next day, but I just know that it's going to be exciting. It's going to be something different, and people are emulating us. We're not emulating them. We're creating that path.
Right. And I think a major reason is that, the performance and just the execution from our agents and our staff. But I think also we didn't have a lot of awareness out there in terms of telling people what we're actually doing. We're starting to do that now. So we're having more conversations, and people are just seeing what it is. And I think that's going to continue. That's all our plans for that to continue and keep growing.
You touched on the recent acquisition, giving us an opportunity for a future portal. For those watching, can you touch on how eXp Realty and eXp World Holdings is uniquely positioned, why that's so impactful?
Yeah, I think that, well, first of all, this is one of Glenn's biggest strategic, goals, is to get to that point where we can provide better content for our agents, content from a searching standpoint, from a information standpoint for their customers, right? So if you pull all that information, I think we are the only brokerage in all 50 states. And soon to be, many countries. But to grab that data and put it into one portal for eXp, and for us to get other data that can go in that portal. So, for instance, school information, and bring a bunch of that information into one place that you can help your customer with. I think it's just going to be more. It will be more valuable. It'll be a searching. We're looking at some of the same capabilities as a Redfin would have, and a Zillow would have. And it's not for business for us. It's more to support the growth of our agents. And I think, Glenn, as we get going, they're going down the strategic path right now in terms of the roadmap and what it's going to happen. I think you'll see more coming out in the next few months to really understand how that's going to benefit all our agents. But it's all the benefit the agents and grow the company.
Well, and even from a consumer standpoint, I mean, case in point, today I had a client call me and she lives in New York, and
Yep.
she referred somebody to me, and I talked to that potential client, and she said, my friend tells me you're really, really connected all over the country and you have amazing agent resources. I was like, I do.
Yep.
She's like, great, because these are the places I want to invest in. Can you help me? Absolutely. And I mean, immediately, because we're all connected and we're all showing up and we all build each other up, I immediately knew exactly the markets. I could talk to those agents. I could speak about them. And I'm like, let me make some introductions. But I love that reputation. And it's funny. I mean, the virtual thing, it's awesome. We're talking about working or school or pivoting. I mean, I've moved, quote unquote, moved to Colorado for the month. I mean, I'm sitting in Colorado and I'm busier than I've ever been. I'm more productive than I've ever been. Well, I've got two of them sitting here on the other side of the table, virtual school, but I could talk to my clients and say, yes, I can serve your needs wherever you are from wherever I am. So it's pretty awesome to have that. And it gives that level of confidence to our clients so that they feel comfortable just making those introductions without even batting an eye.
Right. So and we're just going to add to that in terms of the awareness, the tools that they have, the information they can get as your customers.
Jeff, so any predictions you want to give? Maybe if we talk about 12-month, 24-month outlook out in the horizon?
Next month?
I think maybe in 12 months from now, the Leafs might be in the playoffs if they make some trades.
Right.
But,
maybe.
Yeah,
all right. We'll refer you on that.
Maybe. No, I mean, obviously we're a public company. We're gonna close. We're at the last month. September will be the last month of Q3. So we won't report financials until early November. But what I can tell you is that we did have that pause. You saw it. We were kind of coming back towards the end of Q2, and we're feeling really good about what our agents are doing across the country. We're still adding at a significant rate in terms of agents. We're going to make whatever adjustments we need to make this the best place for our agents to be. And at the same time, we're going to build around affiliated services. We will launch in commercial. We'll grow internationally, and we'll provide as many tools as we can for us to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and just have a great place for people to be.
I'd like to share on what you're just mentioning, Jeff. From the agents to you and leadership, I have to say thank you. As long as I've been with the company, leadership is always reaching out to ask for feedback from the agent voice. Right. That's always been present. But we have been asked more times in the last 6 months about needs, wants, how we can be served, feedback, getting emails saying, what can we do to continue to help you grow your business? That's huge. And I just want to say thank you, because that helps us grow our business and helps share with you what we're seeing on the front line. I think it's another factor as to this rocket ship that we're on.
Thank you. But I mean, that's why we're here, right? So, I mean, I spend a lot of my time making sure that we're spending our investment from a staff standpoint. What's it going to do for growth? What's it going to do to support our agents? What's it going to do to retain our agents, right? So you got attraction, you got retention. And it's really, I mean, we got, between Glenn, Jason, and a really strong team, they do wake up every day, and that's what they're all about. And, it's great one thing I really enjoy here is that having conversations with the team we have, starting with Glenn, we can make decisions really fast. Mm-hmm. Right. And the intentions are always to do the right thing for the agents, do the right thing for our employees, and to grow and really play a big role in the industry. And we can make decisions really fast. It's great. Exciting.
Well, and on top of all that, the focus on our culture is so top of mind for all of our leaders. I mean, protecting the culture that we have and building the culture. I mean, the culture we have is unlike anything else I've ever experienced. Right. And when you have leadership so protective over that and truly reaching out to everybody to make sure that we have the right culture and an inclusive culture and a culture that's going to continue to push us all forward to meet all of our goals. I mean, it's a great place to be, and it's a great feeling to be a part of a team like that.
And from my perspective too, going back to collaboration a little bit, I mean, connection. I mean, we have to be connected to the big builders, with the big agents, the starting agents, to the staff. I mean, we're all going to succeed together, right? So we all have to be really connected, and we're doing everything we can to do that. Obviously we can make improvements, and from a marketing standpoint, I think we're going to see a lot of different activity to support the realty side of the business from a digital marketing standpoint, and that's a big deal. And across from a technology standpoint, we just made a move. This is more internal information, but Curtis just took on onboarding and education, right? So as we looked at this, we got Dave really driving growth to get like the agents, the productive agents. We got Stacy running the brokerage. We got Curtis in the middle of them, connecting both with onboarding, customer support. And when I think of onboarding too, it's not just putting somebody on the platform, right? It's getting them on the platform. It's making sure they understand, they're connected, they get education, they get training, and they get productive, and they stay with us.
They're immediately immersed into all of the platforms and all of the tools and training and technology. And I mean, that makes them feel not only part of the company and part of the team, but they have that confidence so they can be more productive in a much quicker fashion. And I've had a lot of people that have come over and just had those conversations saying, wow, this is unbelievable on how quickly and how organized everything is. And so, I mean, it goes back to the team. And I know there's been some things in tweaking and moving people around, but it's always in the best interest of the agents and saying, okay, what's going to help us be better? And so it's just, we follow the leaders.
Yeah, I think that, the company's grown so fast. My observation is that they've done a fantastic job getting us to where we are, the staff, the agents, everybody. And we just got to get better and better and better, because we can see quite a road of growth ahead of us that we're looking forward to. So we want to be able to scale with that growth and have the same kind of support and retention and actually increase it with our agents.
All right, I have a question.
Sure.
Jeff Whiteside, and I don't know if we asked you when you were here for your last visit on Leadership from the Heart, but I'm going to ask it. Yep. What are you most EXP proud of?
I'd say it's the culture. I mean, culture is always usually a big word when you talk about, but it's an openness. It's kind of an honestness. It's really a purpose of the company to really be focused on supporting our agents and our employees. And it's also, I think I'm also proud too, because, we don't spend a lot of time, there's not a lot of bureaucracy, right? Yeah. We got really strong leaders. We give them, we want people to own what they own and get it done. And we, if we can help in any way, we will. But I think it's mostly the culture. I really do. I can say this, and I'm not just saying this, but this is the best place I've worked overall. It really is. I mean, and the growth is unbelievable. I mean, just talking about the financials so far, I'm sure it's not going to go, maybe it will, but we might have a bad quarter here and now, but so far we haven't. It's just to be in a culture where you can actually like the people you're working with, you collaborate, and the platform for me works really well. And, prior to the COVID, I was probably traveling about a third of my time. So I'd get out, I'd probably see Glenn once a month, right? And the team, and go to agent events and things like that. So that works great. But it's really, I think if you talk to most people, talk to Michael after being in Realty, not that he doesn't say anything negative about Realty, but I think people that come in here that have the right fit really enjoy it. And I'd say that same thing for the agent leaders.
We had Michael on. Michael is a ball of fire. Those are
the people. And that, at the end of the day, think about that. Those are the kind of people we're attracting now to this company.
Right.
Yep.
And Michael, I mean, to be fair, everybody was after Michael, right?
Well,
I mean,
he likes to think that anyways. Right?
Well, I mean, all right, play like he's not going to hear
Michael, I'm the only guy that called you, right? That was it.
That's right. But I mean, think about that. He's got an impressive resume. He has an impressive track record. And when people, I mean, all the companies were talking to him, he was known. I mean, he's very visible. And for him to come over here, he's like, because I'm excited. He goes, I have an enthusiasm that I've never experienced before. I mean, that's something you can't explain to somebody. That's something they have to experience for themselves. And every time I see him, he is like fired up and he has smiles and it makes me excited all over again, right? And I'm excited every day to be a part of this company. And I've been here for 5.5 years, which has flown by. But then when you encounter these people that are coming into the company new and they're so excited, it just gets you so much more pumped up. And so,
and we got to get that. We got to get him and Glenn and Jason and Gene and Scott and all the great people we have, yourselves, to get that message out on a regular basis as we get bigger and bigger. It's harder, right? Mm-hmm. So like I probably wasn't that long ago, you'd have an EXP con that was like 200 people, right? We probably would have been at close to 5,000 this year, right?
Yeah.
So I think we just got to show what you guys are talking about more and more and more. But it is exciting, and I think you're going to see more people like Michael join us. So we have people that are really being attractive to the model and the opportunity, because like we look at it, not so much me, but probably you more than me, that man, it's growing. This is crazy, right? But they're coming in now like a Michael, and wow, this could be big, right? So it's fantastic. It's a great environment, and it's a great place to be. I think it's a great place to work, and I think we'll continue to adapt the model to make sure it's the best place for our agents too.
Well, we're just getting started. We're still small. Sure. We're just getting started. So I'm excited to be on this journey with both of you. And Jeff, I mean, thank you for, again, like Renee said, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for coming on here and sharing with us and just being authentic and genuine in your approach with our company.
Thank you guys for everything you do. I mean, like every time, we talk, just the more you can get out and show your excitement and, why this is a great place, would be great. And I know you're doing that. I want to thank you for that too.
Listen, we're just sharing the story, right? This is the story of the day, the story of the journey, and we're very happy.
We'll get back out there. I mean, we'll get back out there live, because I think that's a big deal. I mean, when you see you two, not me so much, but when you see you two, Michael and Glenn and stuff like that, I just hang with you guys. That's all.
Listen, Jeff,
we love you. You need to give yourself more credit.
The only reason they come up to me is I got drink tickets, right? That's the only reason.
No. We adore you. We're grateful for you. If there's anything that Elizabeth and I can ever do, I hope it goes without saying. We're here. We're happy to serve. Thank you for everything in the company. We're just really darn proud.
Yeah.
So am I. So thank you, and all the best with schooling. I know it's going to be a tough start, but you'll get through it.
We got this. We got this.
We're good.
It'll go back to normal. It has to go back to normal, right?
Right.
Got to go back to something different, some kind of difference.
So thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
And thank you, Jeff Whiteside. We appreciate you.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.